Hi, I'm Hope Birch from Horse Shopping Network in Maryland Saddlery. And the Horse Shopping Network is part of the Maryland Saddlery family. Maryland Saddlery has 3 stores, a main store in Butler, Maryland, which is north of Baltimore, and 2 more stores, one in Delaware and one in Crofton, Maryland. Horse Shopping Network is part of our family, and we sell live online on our Horse Shopping Network app. And we're going to be featuring Kelly's company on there, Anique, and when that comes up, we will let you guys know. But today, I'm being joined by Kelly Arts, who is the innovator, owner, manufacturer of Anique, which is a seamless riding shirt that I know so far. Plus, she's got something else to tell us about after. And it's really important to understand the amazing technology in the clothing that she is manufacturing. I want to hold up the sun shirt that we have here at Butler, and it feels cool to the touch, even when I just touch it. It's a beautiful shirt. And she's going to explain to us the technology behind it. But before we get to the amazing amount of work she's put into this, we're going to ask her a few personal questions about her business. So, Kelly, tell us about yourself, where you grew up, and how you're involved with horses.
Okay. Hi, I'm Kelly Arts. I'm originally from a small town in Colorado called Nederland. So I actually grew up doing tons of outdoor activities and riding. I'm a graduate pony clubber, so go Pony Club. And I have 2 horses that I compete in dressage. And I now live in California. I'm just outside of LA.
So you're riding dressage now, is what you told me. And you have how many horses?
I have 2. I have an 8-year-old mare named Kai and a 17, soon to be 18, I'm sad, gelding, Winston.
And what are their breeds?
Winston is a KWPN. He's kind of older, smaller type by Jaweel, actually. So he's very like jumper bred, but he's cute for dressage, has a nice canter. And then Kai is actually American bred Leslie Morse, who's big USA rider. She actually bred her, and she's by one of the Glock stallions, Johnson, but she's technically a Swedish warm blood. So
that's so cool. How big are they?
She's huge. She's 18-1. So
no way.
But she doesn't ride that way. She's really, really sensitive, and so she actually is, I find, a lot more comfortable than even my smaller horse. And you get used to it when you ride an 18-1 horse. And she can sit. She's pretty adjustable. So yeah, she's 18-1. He's 16-2.
Wow, that's amazing. Are you tall?
No, I'm 5'8".
Oh, that's tall. I'm 5'2".
I'm kind of tall, I guess. Yeah, like I'm not super short, but I guess I come from a really tall family. So for me, I was always the short girl.
Really? Okay.
So
do you have siblings?
I do. I have 1 brother.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And he's he's a baseball player and very into music.
Oh, that's very cool. That's cool. Have they stayed back in Colorado, or have they moved around the country?
Yeah, he actually lives in Massachusetts now. He just moved out to Massachusetts. So
that's really cool. So any other riders in your family, or was that your lone sport?
I think my mom rode for like a brief minute, a little bit Western stuff, but my grandfather was really into animals. We have a bunch of cattle ranches, and so he would take in horses that people needed to be retired and stuff like that, and just keep them with our horses in the pasture and stuff. And he's originally from Germany, so he rode a lot, when he was younger, and was really supportive of my riding. But no, nobody else.
That's funny. I know. I grew up in New York City. My brother's into horses. He's into thoroughbreds, but he's a big guy. He's 6'3" and a big guy. So he was never a big rider, but he's a thoroughbred breeder, breeder. So he loved horses. I did anything he did. So I started riding, I think, at 5 or something, because my big brother did. And I love animals. We all love animals.
I think my parents thought it would be a phase.
Yeah, how'd that go for that?
I think they thought it was great because it was like, it keeps you away from boys and trouble and getting up early on the weekends. And now I think they're wondering if like a boy is ever going to show up or horses instead. So whatever.
Right. That's true. I mean, it's true because we are definitely a woman-dominated sport. So it is harder to find guys riding, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So did you go to college? Did you learn manufacturing in college? Did you do design work? What's your thing?
So I It's weird. Like Anique was always sort of, I think, something that was just like a little 10% of my brain that was going to eventually come out. I tried to make a prom dress for myself once that was like a total epic failure. I tried to like remake one of my mom's, like my mom had this like old dress and I tried to retrofit it and make it into a cool modern 80s thing, and it completely was just a giant disaster. But looking back at it, I'm actually looking at it, I'm like, I actually think that was kind of cool. Like now that we're going more into like an 80s, like it's coming back a little with a future vibe, I'm like, maybe I should find that. But no, I can barely sew. My mom I still send her my breeches and stuff sometimes and ask her to sew them. And I can barely sew. I know how to use a sewing machine. Like I did that kind of stuff. But I went to college for psychology, and I double minored in film studies and theater. And so did some costuming stuff. And then I have a MFA from UCLA from the film and television digital media program. So my pinnacle degree is in digital media. And I also own Intrigue, a digital marketing company that does a lot. Like we represent a lot of the professional riders and things like that.
So is that how much percent of your brain is in one spot versus the other?
Well, I think it depends because like Intrigue is a little bit older than Anique. And so because Intrigue has a staff of like 8 people and I have a lot of people I work with every day. I mean, we have like, I don't know, 65 clients, and it's a kind of a powerhouse. In some ways, I'd say that's like 50% of my brain, and Anique is 25%, because I really believe that for retail, especially for clothing manufacturing, slow growth is good growth. Like I'm very much an entrepreneur. I'm a business person. And I like that. Like I like the process of building businesses, which is one of the things I love actually about Intrigue, is I get to work with so many different small businesses and help them like build all their strategies for growth and their digital ads and all of that. So in a weird way, like Anique is part of Intrigues because we do the same digital stuff. Right. So that whole side of it just flew naturally together very easily for me. But yeah, so.
That's very cool. So then when did you go from sort of brainchild to child?
So I didn't like a lot of the sun shirts were coming out, and I will like full disclosure, like tell girls, it's really funny because I get messages from bigger girls all the time. I'm not like a super small size 2. I'm a size 8, easy. I'm like not one of those people that like like I have solid bones, you know, and like I don't look good in some of these other brands that are these paper thin nylons. I also lived in Africa for a while, and I can't stand power mesh. Like a lot of sun shirts, you know, the ones that are cut and sew, they have the power mesh down the arm. I can't stand it. It reminds me of like living in a mosquito net. And I did that for a year, and I like, trust me, the mosquitoes still get through. And I'm like, no, that's a mosquito net. It doesn't belong in clothing, you know, like why are we, you know, we spend hundreds of dollars on a horse blanket, but for ourselves, we're going to spend like, I mean, those shirts, some of the cut and sew, they're like $14 to make in India, you know, like I don't do that. So generally like I see something and I'm like, I could do this better. Like this isn't finished. I think a lot of people have great ideas, and then in the execution phase, it gets hard, or you get lazy and you get impatient and you just want to get to the point where you have a product to sell and you can't.
Yeah, it takes a while, right? We do a lot of manufacturing. We've initiated manufacturing, and our expectation from like actually asking someone to start working on it for us to when we expect to actually have it could be 2 years. I mean,
yeah.
And if you think it's going to be faster, you're deluding yourself.
No, exactly. And I was like, there's got to be a better way. Like I know that like you make a cut and sew sun shirt out of nylon, so it's thin, but then you also kind of compromise the integrity of the garment long term. Like it's not going to hold up. And so just from my travels abroad and personal knowledge, I knew there had to be something else. Like there's a lot of really smart textiles out there. And so I was like, I can make this better. I'm going to figure out how. And so that's really where Anique kind of started, was I wanted to make a quality sun shirt, something that was, you know, durable, that would last, that's hardy. I mean, like, I personally am still wearing, like, weekly, one of the first sun shirts that ever came off the line.
Right.
And that's 3 years ago now. And like,
that's probably why I own 3 tack shops, but I ride in Lululemon.
Yeah.
I mean, literally,
Yeah.
I put my Lululemon leggings and my half chaps and my paddock boots, and I ride in Lululemon because it's a better garment than anything I can sell. They're lightweight and durable. I've been in them 5 years, working out 3 days a week, riding my horses, and there's nowhere on them.
Yeah. I'm a huge fan of Lululemon. I think they've done a really good job to make some really durable pieces. I think that, like, and that was, you know, definitely Lululemon's an inspiration. You know, you look at their stuff, they make their stuff for yoga though. So that was why I was like, it's not going to hold up long term for what equestrians need. Okay. And also, like, their customers inside. When you're making garments for completely different customers, you really have to think about what that customer needs. And equestrian women, like the Lululemon sun shirts, I get asked all the time, when are you going to make a crew neck? And I wish I could. Right, soon I will. Maybe in a couple of years. We have to grow more. But the thing is that, like, the Lululemon, the yarn is made out of, it has silver in it, which is an antibacterial. Right. And theirs is actually a little bit thinner than ours. But they, over time, I have found actually that my Lulus, they last a long time, but when I'm using them for riding, they don't last like my Anique shirts do. And they don't have any of the UV or the cooling properties that we talk about.
I mean, I work out in the tops, but I ride the bottoms. But that's why I'm glad to hear maybe something later, something important, because so what makes this amazing? Like, what did you take your inspirations and say, okay, I can take it to the next level? So what is the next level? What makes your garment that much more?
Well, so for starters, I didn't like the shape of a lot of the sun shirts. So a lot of sun shirts on the market that are cut and sew, they were square. So it's basically like they just cut a body and it's flat and it went on the sides. And that's like, as a girl that sometimes has things that I need to dress smart to hide, that's a huge no-no. Like, that's asking for a love handle or a muffin top kind of thing to happen. So I was like, nope. So when I designed my shirt, I would say we probably spent a couple months doing all of the style lines. And so I guess I should explain, for starters, Anique's shirts are a seamless. So they're like the Lululemon tops that you like that are made out of a silver. They're made on what's called a Santoni machine. And I actually have some video of that machine. If you want, I could send it for your viewers.
Great. We'd love to see it.
Post it. So Santoni machines are freakishly cool. So they're kind of, if you've ever thought of like knitting a hat and it's a circle, big circle, that's exactly what a Santoni is, but it's ginormous and it takes thousands and thousands of threads. So it takes 10 days for an engineer to calibrate a Santoni machine. And each Santoni machine, basically what it does is it creates a tube. And so within that, you can decide, sort of like knitting the hat, all of the different knits that you want to put in it. So for my shirt, what we did is we first designed the body tube, and then you can add the different knits. And so this lets the Anique shirts have more ventilation than any other sun shirt that just has power mesh. So when people are like,
let's super still for a second in front of the camera, just so we can see that once the camera there, now
you see all those, like all the little patterns, like this here is a different knit than this. So that's basically like if you're knitting a hat or you're knitting a scarf. So what that has done is that's allowed, the machine has changed its knit style so that it makes a different way there. And so what that does is it actually adds like ventilation. See how that stretches? You can kind of see through it. Now, if I stretch it out, it adds ventilation. And so, but it also, for me, when I design a piece, it has to have like basically if I'm going to add a feature like this, like these style lines is what we call them to a garment, it's got to do two things. So this offers ventilation, but it also creates a more flattering body aesthetic for the wearer. So that's where you have what we call a heart-shaped bust up in the top. It's hard to show. There we go. See how it kind of curves in and gives the shape. So what that does is it creates more ventilation all down, as you can see I'm wearing it, like down the side of the garment. Like it creates ventilation here. And then it also gives it a heart-shaped bust. This is a lighter color, so it's harder to see. But what that does is for women that have all different types of busts, it's great. So like for the girls that have really, really tiny A cups, it gives you some shape. So it kind of calls out a breast area that maybe you don't have. And for girls that have a really big bust, it will actually break it up a little bit. So again, it has some shape. Then it also has the ventilation that goes down the side. So I use the vents in how I knit the shirt to create a more flattering shape or aesthetic. And then this is the same thing here. Like I put a waist on, and our waist was designed to help hide. So when it's like super, super hot in California and I would wear the other sun shirts, I would get really bad, like under the boob sweat. And so this hides it. This one helps me from getting bad under the boob sweat because there's ventilation, but it also helps hide it. So if I am sweating, it's not like the minute I get off my horse, you can see the line underneath. And it's gross. And then it also is all along the back. So that's one of the first things that makes the shirts different. And so what the knitting machine allowed me to do is also eliminate power mesh, how a lot of them have the power mesh down the arms. Our arm just has vents that are knitted in instead. So like you can see here in my arm, it still has the same vents that you'd see in another sun shirt to offer the cooling, but they're knitted into the garment, which also makes it so that they won't pill. So like sometimes with the other ones that have power mesh, it'll get stretched over a long period of time. These won't stretch any more than the rest of your shirt will.
That's so cool. I mean, I always say things like, if women design cars, we could clean the insides of them, because we would make them with thoughts of what you would have to do in them when you were driving them, like dropping French fries. So, and I feel like you thought way ahead about all the different parts and the different pieces. Did you have anything you thought would be really a great idea that didn't work at all, that you had to pull out?
Well, I mean, so when you make a seamless, it's a little bit different. Like you don't design it and then make a prototype and then sell it and then send it to the factory. Instead, what you have to do is you have to work with an engineer. And so that engineer, what they do is they create kind of a mock-up. So like the first Anique shirt, I actually put my fingernail through because it was too thin. Because the only thing that you're working with to start is the yarn, which we should talk about the yarn too, because that's something that makes them super, super special. But in between the first year, I wanted there to be a vent in the elbow because I wanted there to be like a little bit of, I hate when things are really tight on your arms. Like I think that male designers and a lot of these like tiny yoga companies, like I personally go up a size if I'm going to buy a Lululemon anything for my upper body because my biceps don't fit.
Me too.
That's sad.
These giant guns.
And like I don't think I'm that beefy, but like I'm not a twig, and so that's the problem. And so I wanted to have like another point that would make it more comfortable,
right?
And made you feel like you could still bend your arm, because I hate when long sleeves are restrictive. So actually, the first production of the sun shirts had the vent here, and it was the same as this knit in the top of the shirt. And let me see here, this knit, it was the same as this knit, and it's a little bit more of an open knit with that pattern, and it was a little bit too open. So like every time that you open it too much, you also make it so it's weaker. And so the first year, it wasn't that they were like not strong, but it was like so open that it would kind of get caught on things. And so friends of mine were like, hey, it got stuck on my wedding ring, like that kind of thing when I was putting it on. So I took it out. And so completely, I took it off the arm for the next year. And that was a bad idea. Like it was, it created it made it so that the factory actually made a handful of defects the first year. I still swapped those out for people because they ended up making the arm, when they removed it, the arm got really tight. So girls that had smaller arms, like the Lulu arm, were fine, but the girls that were like me, it was like we had to find the ones that weren't defects. And so that was bad. So I put it back in, but for the third year. So like our new collection, like the one you're holding, and this one, all of our new colors, the arm is really comfortable again, but I changed the knit. So now the knit is a different, it still has the vents in the elbow, but it's one that has a little bit more strength to it, so that hopefully it doesn't get caught on anything. And also it won't wear as much over time. That was really my biggest thing. I have, moms that will call me and they're like, my daughter still wears her Anique shirts and they like still have their color, and I wash them every day and I throw them in the dryer, even though you're not supposed to, and they're fine. And that's my thing. I'm really hard on my clothes. So like if I can't throw it in the dryer and it lasts me a couple of years, then I'm out because it's too much work.
Yeah, I agree. So you want to talk about the yarn? Did you want to say more?
Yeah, we can talk about the yarn. So the shirts are actually made out of a really special yarn. It's imported from Israel. It was invented for the Israeli army for their undergarments. So what I love hearing is when people are like, oh, it's too thick, I'm going to be too hot, and then I'll be like, just try it. And I have friends that wear it in like 100 that have to ride in the sun with it like beating down on them. And they're like, it's crazy. It feels like there's a layer of shade, which is true. Like I would prefer to have an Anique shirt on versus having nothing on, because I could feel the sun just like frying my skin, versus this, it puts a cool layer on. So it's a very, very smart yarn. And something that makes it unique is it's not only been lab tested to lower your body temperature, but it also, so it has the way that the fibers are crisscrossed in the yarn. Like if you put it under a microscope, they have really flat cross sections. So that allows for greater distribution of body heat through it. So basically, like not only does the shirt have the vents that help to cool you down faster and create more airflow, but then the yarn itself is made out of super flat fibers that disperse the heat faster. And so you actually, once you sweat in it, you can get like this kind of cooling sensation. Like I know for me, when it becomes like 5 o'clock, I have to start layering up, because anywhere that I sweat in it during the day, as the sun starts to go down, I'm going to get cold. And I get cold really easily. So that's, I would say that's something that makes them very special, is that during the drying process, they're meant to help you lower your body temperature. And that's what really allows the garment to have, like, I would call it integrity, just like the strength. Like if you have a super thin fabric, it's not going to last you very long. But this allows it to still be just as cooling as thinner fabrics, but also it feels heavier. It's a hardier fabric. So, and it also, with having the greater surface area coverage, it allows for the UV protective qualities.
So when you stepped into this, did you have fabric knowledge, or is this like working with engineers and growing and changing and learning?
I worked with a consultant. So like, I'm really big on like, I find somebody who's really, really good at what they do, and I hire them and we figure it out together. So when I first started the company, I hired a consulting company to help me and teach me, because I didn't know how to make seamless. And even a lot of people, seamless is really like its own thing. So I hired someone, and I also wanted to manufacture in the United States, which is a little bit harder too. So I wanted to, I just knew that like paying someone to help teach me was going to save me tons of time, tons of cost and resources, and going down bad roads of sampling and traveling and things like that. So, they helped me get the first production launched and learn that process. And I just learned it from them. And then the second production I did by myself. And then the third production, now I've hired people in the company to help, because there's a lot of coordination of vendors and zippers. And that's the other thing. I mean, like when we made these, everyone said to me, the zipper's never going to work. No one's going to buy it with the zipper.
Wow.
the zipper is the thing that I need that nobody else is doing, and they all keep messing up. And
why did they say? So wait, go backwards a little bit. Who
Okay.
said that the zipper would work?
So people that are formally, this is kind of the beauty, I think, of like my background and in that I don't have education in fashion, is
Right.
that like there's all these like hidden rules. I don't know any of them. So they, like one thing is, so this is what we call, don't quote me on it, I think it's a number 5. It's a number 5 zipper. So it's technically too big for the weight of the garment.
Oh, right. Okay.
And it was really funny because when I first released the shirts, even I had buyers and people that are really like fashion knowledgeable that would kind of tell me like, I don't think girls are gonna like it. I think the zipper is gonna be too bulky. And I'm like, no, that's why they're gonna like it. Like that.
I like it. It's a thing, right?
Yeah. So, but I never saw the zipper as like a zipper, I think. And that was where like everything in my world serves 2 functions, right? So for me, the zipper is almost like a piece of jewelry.
Yeah.
It needs to finish the style. Like I would go into like REI and I see stuff and I'm like, God, I love, like, I'm a huge fan of like the North Face and Patagonia. And I love their, like so many of their designs. And I'm like, why don't these dudes finish it? Like they have no trims, like the pockets have no detailing. The zippers are like these cheap things that like they work and they're great, but they're ugly. And that's not what, you know, women that look like girls want to wear. And I think, you know, so that was really a big thing for me was the zipper, and also adding the zipper garage. We're the only sun shirt company that has a zipper garage.
So explain what that is. I know what it is, but explain what that is.
Yeah, so a zipper garage is this awesome thing where the zipper never touches your skin. So there's actually a lot of women that are allergic to zippers, metal zippers. And then also like zippers, I felt like generate heat, and sitting on your chest and stuff, they can irritate you. And I don't like having stuff on my neck. I'm a thyroid cancer survivor. I also have a scar from an old capture the flag accident on my chest that like I just don't like things rubbing on.
Right.
And so for me I could never wear the other one zipped up because there was nothing, I didn't like it. It felt restricted. So that's why, so this is the zipper garage, and it's typically something you see in like sweatshirts and jackets. You don't see it very often on shirts, especially when they put on a tiny flimsy like number 3 zipper, which is like a size smaller than this. And so the zipper garage allows the zipper to zip up, and then the thing kind of goes like that on your skin. So you never feel it hitting you. And then also on the inside, you're protected so that the zipper's never touching your skin either.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
So,
lovely.
Yeah.
And talk about the fun color. Like I'm holding one. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful?
Is that the night, or is that that's the black swan. Yeah. So that was the other thing I decided in the first collection was I was going to add rose gold zippers, because I would see all these outerwear companies that were like doing kind of an homage to rose gold. Like they would use blushes. And I'm like, why, like who would use a blush zipper? Like, ugh, like, why don't you just put rose gold on it? So
yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah, our white and our pure white and our black swan both have the rose gold zipper. And then this one's really cool in the olive. This is the first from this collection.
Right.
Yeah, this is the first yellow gold, the traditional gold zipper in the entire collection. This shirt has done really well. People really like it. It's a really classy, classic kind of look. And yeah, and then you have the silver, which everybody likes. But for me, I found the zipper to be like another element that makes it feminine, and also adds another durability and things like that. So yeah,
that's awesome. Now I think it's a really beautiful garment as a whole. I mean, really, I love when you touch it. It's incredibly soft, right? It's very tactile. You really like it. Like you want to hold it. You definitely want to put it on. And it's finished, like you said. And I'm very fussy about that too. That pet peeve is things that aren't completed, or people that haven't taken it all the way through the steps to get it, to have it be done. And then, you know, like this is one of the things I thought was really lovely too, right? You didn't show that little piece, so I'll hold it up on my end too, which is along the bottom, right? You have your name And
Yeah, and sometimes I put things in there. So like the first collection, it said rise, ride, repeat.
uh-huh.
This year we just did the logo on the inside, but we put
The
little
finish at the bottom is beautiful, right?
yeah.
It's just beautiful. And all of that makes it a
Well,
really
and also there's no tags. I'm also like, I'm very fussy about my clothes. I mean, a lot of like the people that are close to me know that I have like the same 7 things that I wear all the time. I just buy them in different colors, like the same pants, the same everything. I just buy them in different colors because I don't like picking stuff out. And when I have to do stuff, someone else will pick it out because I'm picking things out all day with everything.
right.
So, but so there's no tags. That's another thing that's really nice. Is like the tag is, it's in the inside there. And
And
so you never have to worry because like I hate it when you go home and you have tags in it and you're like trying to figure out like if I put a tag up there, it would drive you bonkers.
right. And then you have to figure out how to cut it out without wrecking your garments, which is it's been a lot.
Yeah, well, and even that's something you have to think about. I mean, there's like literally every element of this has been, well planned, I think. I mean, there's always things that like you sometimes can't accommodate or can't plan for, but like the collar, the first time was a little bit shorter. I think we've settled on a nice length now for the collar after getting a lot of customer feedback because some girls like to have it up, some girls like to wear it down, that kind of thing. Same thing with the arm length. We get a lot of people most women have longer arms than I think normal
Right.
really takes into account. And so our sleeves are longer to allow for that, but then it still will kind of roll over or flip over well. We actually changed the wrist this year. It used to be a double wrist. So it was in the previous years, it was 2 pieces of fabric. Basically, the tube was folded over on itself and then sewn. This year, it's just a single, which allows the wrist to have more stretch too. So I do really pay attention to like the feedback I get from my sales reps and my retailers, and even like through the social media.
Uh-huh.
And we use that feedback and we make adjustments as need be. I do feel like we finally have really reached our 3rd year now with the sun shirt. We've really reached a finished, polished sun shirt. And it's growing in other markets. They're carrying them now in board shops and golf in a bunch of different shops. The golf girls love them too. So I think we're bringing kind of a more modern, like young and feminine look to these kind of classic golf and equestrian stuff and the prints. I think you have to be really careful with print if you're going to do something with prints. So
Prints are really tough. I mean, you can't go wrong with great solids, and your color palette's beautiful. So I think that's
well, and I think I can't speak for all women because there are girls that like to have closets, that are the size of my house, I'm sure. But like I like to have good basics, things that can do multiple things. And so what I like about my Anique shirts and pretty much the stuff I make is like you could wear it to the barn, or you could wear it to, I mean, I have nurses that wear it under their scrubs.
Sure.
I have all kinds. I mean, it's great. Like you could wear it on a boat over your swimsuit. I have a girl in Thailand that does that all the time and loves them. You can wear it for riding. It tucks in great. You can wear it hiking. I have a friend that sends me pictures like rock climbing and snowboarding and all kinds of stuff. So I think it's good when you have clothes that are cute, but still multifunctional. I hate when you have to have, like, I have my like barn jackets and then my nice jackets, but then you also feel like sometimes if you buy something in the equestrian side that's prettier, I always am like, oh, I got to keep it nice. Like I can only wear it at clinics. Oh, I can only do, that kind of thing. And I don't want to make clothes like that. I want girls to be able to wear it every day because I think that really influences how you feel and how you ride every day. I mean, your horse doesn't know if it's a clinic or a show. Well, I probably know if it's a show because you go, but you know what I mean? Like they don't care. They don't think about all of these extra things that we add to it. So it's really more important how you feel and that you feel comfortable so that you ride well for them to feel comfortable. So that's sort of my thought.
So tell me what's new. I hear so
you guys are the first. So we have leggings coming out. We actually have about 8 new designs sort of in the works. Not for sun shirts. So for other things, I'm really excited about all the projects we're working on next year. I've been designing actually a winter, we call it our winter zip, very slowly for the last like year and a half. But in the same vein as my sun shirt, I'm not releasing it until it's something that I will wear that's perfect. And so with COVID, things kind of got delayed, and I'm still working out some of the kinks, but it's going to be so cool.
Oh, that's great.
And yeah, and we are, and you know me, I'm really interested, just like the yarn, in kind of advanced textile technologies. And so I'm doing a lot now with like pineapple leather. Is so cool. It's like the coolest thing ever. There's actually leather that's made out of pineapple.
Wow.
And it's so cool. Yeah. And things with, there's a lot of new, really awesome reflective technologies and things like that, that we're going to start to be incorporating a lot of these new things that people are developing for garments into really beautiful pieces for women. So you can have the highest technology, athletic and performance stuff, but in beautiful pieces. So that's really my vision. And so we decided, because of COVID, we are releasing our first leggings. So these are this is a color, it's called Sugar Plum.
Uh-huh.
And they're full length legging, and they're seamless, just like ours. So they're made in the same place that the sun shirts are made.
Okay.
The quality and the feel is very, very similar. They're not cooling yarn though, so you're not gonna, your butt's not gonna freeze. And they have a high waist. They're super cute. So we have them in Sugar Plum, and we have them in black this year. So, and they'll be releasing in a couple of weeks. Everyone will be able to buy them.
And you can do anything with these leggings? What's your?
That's exactly what it is. We're calling them the limitless legging, actually, because you can do anything in them. So if you want to ride in them, great. I mean, they don't have the little grippies, so okay. But
That's keeping you on your horse, you're in trouble.
Yeah, and you know what? They're the same quality as our sun shirts in the durability. So if you want to wear them for barn chores, great. If you want to wear them at home, after, great. If you want to use them for travel, great. If you want to work out, they're there. But they're, I think that you as a Lululemon fan too are really going to be excited about that.
I'm excited. Yeah.
And you feel good about them because they're made in USA. Like I go down to the factory in Los Angeles where my stuff is made, and I talk to them in person. And I see the people who sew my stuff,
So then leggings, they talk about suck in leggings, right? How much suck there is, like how much support, and how much hiding cottage cheese. Like where do you feel those leggings are hitting on that scale?
Well, I got pretty cottage cheesy during COVID myself. So I'm going to give them like an 8 out of 10 on that. I mean, they are still a legging. But that's where seamless is so amazing. Like cut and sew it's cut and it's a fixed size. So even though the fabric has stretch, it's still a fixed size. Seamless isn't like that. It's a tube. So what's really cool with the whole stretch is the entire thing has stretch, and there's no giving points. Right? There's no seam that would rip, if that makes any sense. And so basically because the entire thing stretches over your butt or your leg, what happens is that allows it's basically like a giant compression sock.
Sure.
So that's why seamless, in my opinion, for leggings is better than a cut and sew legging.
That's great. No, I like enough sock to give you that feel, but not, remember they came out with that scuba-y fabric that I felt like I was being squeezed into a tube of toothpaste. It was horrible.
Oh yeah, no, these aren't like that. I think that they have enough stretch once you get them on. What I like is a little bit of the high-waisted and a little bit of support in my waist area. So I feel like it smooths out those lines like a spank. And so they're really like that.
Oh, I'm so excited. I can't wait.
Yeah, no, they're I literally just got them. I got them 2 days ago. These are the ones that they're now getting all packaged and ready for customers at the factory. So they just sent me these. And what's really cool is they're actually kind of going to match all of your other stuff. So, they have the same rose gold, and then they have the little rose gold on the ankle. So you can wear them with your black shirt or your white shirt. And then we have this color I'm really excited about. I think it's a really pretty color.
That's beautiful.
There's a dark plum.
Oh, I can't wait. Oh, well, I can't wait. I'm going to have to put an order in because I want to get some.
Yeah, no, definitely. They're going to, leggings are such a good, good staple this year, I live in leggings because I work from home. So, but no, it's really cool. I have to say One of my favorite things too about being a Made in USA company, like as we've had things over the years that have come up with the garments, you know, like I just go down there and like I've literally sat with the zipper sewers myself. Like when we've had situations where like a batch of zippers came from the factory. I mean, what a lot of people don't know is so the first batch of zippers that came from the very first set, about 1,000 of them were faulty.
Yeah.
And there wasn't time to fix them. So I physically had to fix all of them myself. So I used like the shears and I fixed, it was something with, since then I switched to a different, it's crazy how many details you don't think about till you're doing it. But there's like a little stopper. Now we have a plastic one. And
right
here it was a metal one. Well, the metal ones came and a bunch of them were like sticking up and they were really, really sharp. Now it's a plastic one. So it's always really soft. But so I physically was down there with them to make the deadline, sitting there on the assembly line. I mean, with actually one of our shareholders in the company, she met me there and we were both sitting there with these guys doing it. I mean, my hands were bleeding. By the time I was done, I had blisters all over my hands because they just came off the line wrong. And so it was a piece of metal and we were able to fix it on every single one, just one by one. So, I mean,
that's wonderful. See that's about being an entrepreneur, right? That's what it is.
Yeah, then you gotta get your hands dirty and just get there. And I mean, we were there all day. I think I sat there all day. She and I, and same thing. We were counting them and figuring out what was going on. Because that's one of the things, you know, I get asked a lot. When are you gonna make a crew neck? When are you gonna make a crew neck? And I think people don't understand that, like, when I buy, because of seamless machines, the logistics. So I take a seamless machine at a factory, one machine for one size off the floor for an entire month. So to do a production. And it takes 10 days to get it ready, which means that for 10 days, the engineers are sitting there streaming up each thread into the machine. I mean, it's crazy. It looks like an Oompa Loompa machine. It looks like Willy Wonka. And I'll get you guys a video for your customers because like literally you go in and every 3 minutes the thing goes whoosh, and then the tube comes out, the whole tube, and it's made. It's the coolest thing ever. I'll send you a video. We have a video.
I love factories. I mean, if I could choose a vacation, it would be visiting factories.
Yeah, it's something else. But so for each size of my shirt, it's its own machine. Because that's what you call, so there's these tubes. It's a big cylinder that goes around it that they weave the shirt around. And so each size, so each tube is its own cylinder. And so when we make our shirts, I have to make every single thing I'm gonna make that year in small, every single thing I'm gonna make in medium, large, and extra large. And then after that, all of them, they get separated and they go to the dye house and they get dyed. So everything comes off the machine in this like nasty color, kind of like, you know, like a moth would weave a cocoon. It looks like that. It's like a flat, nasty color. It's called greige. And so everything comes off greige from the machines, and then it goes to the dye house. But what makes our shirts more complex is that they actually sew the arms on first. So it goes to the sewers twice. So the tubes come off the machine. The arms actually come off a different machine. And so does the different plackets and stuff. But so those come off the machine. They sew the arms on. Then they sew the collar on. Then they go and they get dyed. Then they come back and they sew all of the zippers in.
Huh.
So it's a multi-step proper.
I would love you down there.
Yeah. But that's the thing. So like, I think it's, you know, people are like, oh, make a crew neck. And I'm like, that's great. But like when I make shirts, I make 3,000 of them.
Right.
So, and typical entrepreneur, I'm really excited because this year we've grown enough. We're going to move to a fulfillment center. Because like I personally have stored all of the Anique shirts and done all of the shipping myself with some help out of my house. So like those are the real shirts. Like you order one on the website and they're coming from me. So from retailers and everyone else. So that's, yeah. So it's definitely like I order 3,000 of them at a time. And in order to take a machine, I mean, these machines are about $150,000 for a factory to buy. And so you're taking it off the floor. And like my factory has 40 of them.
Wow.
And I share them with companies like the North Face, Kim Kardashian, things like that.
So
So
you have to be ready to go. Like you have to be sure. You have to have all your ducks in a row. You have to have all your materials ready. You have to have all your zippers in-house. Everything has to be ready. So it's interesting. I just don't think people understand the work that goes in. I don't think that it's because they don't want to understand. I think they just have not been given the opportunity. So I really thank you for explaining it, because they'll understand why slow growth is better, because if you just rush to it, you're going to end up with lots of issues and lots of problems. And, you may end up with more garments out there, but they may not be of the quality you're satisfied with.
And not even that, it's like people always go, oh my gosh, you sold out of this and that color. That's why I always tell people, and I tell the retailers too, if you like my black, every year I make more of it. Every year I run out. Like it's that black swan with that rose gold. People just love it. And so but I make as much as I make, and then I can't go and make more without making everything I need for the next year. And as a small business, that's an enormous amount of capital that I think even retailers don't even think into consideration, that you have to be ready to go. I have already ordered the yarn for next year.
Right.
I have to because it takes just the time it takes to do this production. You're looking at 60 days from start to finish, but that doesn't include getting the yarn here. And I use a very special yarn that with COVID and everything else, I have to make sure, because the yarn is made in Israel.
Right. And it's even shipped in. It's a very big process. Well, thank you so much for sharing it. I'm so excited because the garments are exquisite. It's an investment garment. Like if you really want something beautiful to wear that will perform in many places, in many ways, keep you cool, flattering, and have a lot of intelligent thought going into the production of it. This is definitely a garment for you, because now they retail. Give me the retail pricing. I don't have it in front.
$119.95. Yeah, $119.95.
Right. And then where do you think the leggings are going to land? Do you have any idea on pricing?
I think we're looking at like $89.99.
Oh, that's really affordable.
Yeah.
That's great.
And I have to say, like, one of the things that if there's something I could tell, like a new customer that has never bought an Anique shirt or is thinking about buying one for someone else, the shirts last a long time. Like I'm literally still wearing the original peacock. It's like one of my favorites. And I wear it every week. I wash it. I put it in the dryer. We tell people not to put them in the dryer, but you can hang, because they're nylon. It's better if you hang dry them, but I don't have time for that. So I put them in the dryer.
They're always telling you not to put in the dryer.
Yeah, and I have people that are like blood. I've had people that are like, oh, my horse I've gotten blood, there's sweat, there's snot. I've gotten like perfect prep and stuff all up and down them. And they're really, really durable, and they last a long time. So they're not something that you buy thinking like, oh my God, it's $120. No, you're going to have this shirt for years, and then you're going to want more in other colors.
Yeah, it's an investment. And I think that people really should think carefully about it, because the stuff we're buying at Target is just garbage. It says seasonally fat. This is actually a uniform. This is a piece of equipment that is an important piece for you, and safety. Sun protection is an amazing innovation into fabric, and we really should be using it more. No one needs to be slathering chemicals on themselves every day. You've got to put on your
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I think also just, we're a very like the ball, everything ends with me. And we're a very ethical company. I go down and I talk to the guys. I know that the people that are working in my factory are not wearing diapers chained to sewing machines. Yeah. That's a real thing. I don't think people know that. People in India and Singapore, when you buy stuff from Target, or you buy things even that are made from some of these factories overseas, they're not treating people right. And if there's anything I think we've all learned this year is that it doesn't matter what your income place is, everybody has to be taken care of, or the entire system collapses. And I've always been like that. I treat my employees and my staff really well. I take care of people. And so that's a really big thing. We're made out of, ethical ethical materials that come from countries that, you know, are ethical and pay taxes, and we do all of it. And, you know, it's like those sorts of things because you have to.
No, that's wonderful. And I think because that's the added frosting on the whole thing, is that it makes you're in a garment that you've invested money in that is going to perform the way you like. It's going to do what you want. It's made by somebody who cares deeply about how it's made, where it's made. And I really appreciate it. That's why it's fun. That's why I've had so much fun. The Horse Shopping Network has been really exciting for me to do because I get to talk to you guys, and no one is as passionate about your products as you are. I was downstairs talking to somebody right before I came up to interview you about Shapley's, which has been around forever, you know, MTG and all their line. And what I learned from them is insane, you know, how they care so deeply about the products that they make in the United States as well. So I've been sort of on a trend to talking to people that are U.S. made, which is kind of cool, which has been a really fun thing.
Well, and
you know,
I think people don't realize, like, when you're buying from, you know, and like we're a women-owned business, you know, like when you buy from these small businesses, like, I mean, these shirts are my Saturday nights. Like, it's my Thanksgiving. Like, I packaged shirts all Thanksgiving weekend for Black Friday sales myself. Like, you know what I mean? It's because that way the people that work for me don't have to work. Like, it's these, like, I do inventory all weekend long. I'm sitting counting and getting things ready to go to retailers and stuff. So, I mean, it's a big, you know, when you have a small business, it's so much more than even just your product. Like, if you don't care about your product that much, you can't do this. It's too hard. I will tell you. Yeah. It's too hard. My assistant is like, this inventory thing, man, it is, because there's 3,000 shirts physically, each and every one has to be counted a couple times a year.
Yep. Welcome to retail. Yes, it is fun. Well, thank you so much, Kelly. Really appreciate it. And we'll do our segment on HSN, and you guys can shop for the shirts. And I'll get back with Kelly. Hopefully she can replenish because we're getting low again here. And thank you again for joining me today. And we'll be in touch soon. I hope you have a happy holiday.
Yeah, and I'll get you that video so you can share it with your followers of the series.
I'd love to see you. Great. See you soon.
Bye. Thank you.